Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. This is Josie's Point of View, where we focus on human interest stories from the Carolinas and beyond. Today it's Sunday and it's January the 19th, 2025. Thank you so much for tuning in. If you're new to my channel, I want to thank you so much for stopping by. I hope you find the information here to be informative. And if you're a return viewer, by all means, thank you for coming back. I always say the tide changes so frequently here on these YouTube streets. So you always have to acknowledge where your support comes from. And I want you to know I sincerely thank you for your support. Feel free to like and to share this video. And don't forget to subscribe. And our story today comes from the Joint Base Lewis McChord Military Installation, which is located at Tacoma, Washington. Take a look at the headline. And it reads, Army doctor sentenced for sexually abusing 41 male patients. I'll provide you with a summary here, and I'll identify some of my sources for you in the description box. So today's video is a follow-up to a story that we presented to you about 10 months ago, and it had to do with a young Army doctor, a male doctor, a major working at Madigan Army Medical Center. He was arrested and charged with sexually assaulting several dozen male patients who were seeking medical care. And at that time of that last video, the doctor was awaiting a general court-martial to answer for those crimes. And that's where we left off. Well, that chapter has concluded. The court-martial is now completed and he has been sentenced. So today's video is an update. In this video, we will review some of what took place at the court-martial. We'll address the sentence, and of course, we'll provide reaction to the sentence by some of the victims. So let's begin with a brief overview. The location is Madigan Army Medical Center, one of the Army's finest, the Army's leading trauma centers. The location in Seattle, Washington, it's one of the largest military hospitals on the West Coast and the second largest military medical treatment facility in the United States, caring for a population of over 100,000 military personnel, their families, and retirees. And this facility has been a pillar of that Washington state community since 1944. Now, Madigan Army Medical Center provides a vast array of medical services to meet the needs of that population. And one very important specialty is pain management. Now, if you've ever had an injury, you understand how valuable this specialty can be, because a soldier is unable to function if his or her pain is not under control. So pain management plays a vital role in a soldier's recovery from an injury. And until the spring of last year, the person providing pain management services was this man here, Major Michael Stocking, an anesthesiologist working as a pain management doctor. And without going back all of the gruesome detail, Dr. Stocking was arrested and eventually charged with sexually violating dozens of men who were seeking treatment for pain management. At that time, we knew that he had been in the Army since 2013. He had been at Madigan since 2019. And it was in 2022, that's when some of the allegations began to surface. And it took some time before he was eventually suspended from practice and charged with over 50 counts of sexual assault of male patients. And I say eventually suspended because when the allegations surfaced, the military did not immediately remove him from practice. And that has been the complaint of some of the victims. They believe that had the military taken swift action when allegations first surfaced, some of those who were eventually victimized could have been spared. And I'm summarizing here, but that's exactly what I read about this case when it first came to light last summer. And then again, I'm trying not to sensationalize this case, so I'm not going back into a lot of the gruesome background information. But if you are interested in getting more background information, I'd like to direct you to this video, which I completed 10 months ago, and I'll also include some of the links in my description box. But I want to pick up to the point where he was eventually charged. So my last update on the story was back in August of 2024. Back then, I saw a news release from the Public Affairs Office on Joint Base Lois McCord stating that Major Stockton would be facing a general court-martial. No date had been identified at that time. The message specifically stated that prosecutors had referred 52 charges against him, and those charges were relating to the sexual abuse of 41 different patients. And the charges again, 52 in nature. They included 47 counts of sexual abuse and 5 counts related to indecent viewing. Now, there was also a message from the doctor's defense team as they indicated that he planned to plead not guilty to all of the charges. One thing we do know is that things are not always as they seem, and that change is constant. So by the time the date of the court martial came around, the doctor and his team had changed their mind and negotiated a plea of guilty. And here you have all the information about his trial. U.S. versus Major Stockton Michael D. And let me stay up front. This is all information that's available in the public domain, so there are no privacy violations here. The first thing you see up here is the offenses or the charges. Article 120 times 48. That's 48 counts of sexual abuse, sexual assault. And then the 120C times 5 out of 5 counts of indecent viewing. Over here, you have the different motions that will file in getting ready for the trial. Up here, it mentions the trial date, 7 January 25, starting at 9 o'clock to 15 January 25. Now, on this end, again, those are the start date and the end dates for the trial. But here you have the plea. It says he did enter a guilty plea, and what he had the option of having his case being heard by a panel, the court martial team, or just by the judge. And he elected to have his case heard by the judge. And above the plea, you also see the name of the judge. And as I already mentioned, there was a guilty plea. So Dr. Stockton, he stood before the judge a few days ago and took full responsibility for his action. He had to explain to the judge what he had done and why he was guilty. You know, I wish I could have been a fly on the wall to hear Major Stockton describe how he sexually assaulted all of those men. You know, I wish I could read the transcript. So if anybody out there has access to the transcript, I don't mind spending a few dollars in order to be able to read for myself what took place in that courtroom. But for the 47 counts of sexual assault that he was facing, it was reported that he pled guilty to 36 counts. And then he also pled guilty to those 5 counts of indecent viewing. And now, if he had not taken that plea agreement, he would be facing up to 300 years in prison. And before the judge imposed his sentencing, the victims were allowed to address the court. It was reported that 22 of the 41 victims did take that opportunity, and they detailed the trauma and the distress they had endured as a result of Stockton's abuse. They spoke about how that abuse was currently impacting their daily lives. Many testified about the fact that Stockton had caused them to suffer negative emotional, physical, and psychological harm. And again, we won't go into detail about what they had endured, but you should know that at least 22 of them are currently working with a group of attorneys to file a claim against the military for negligence and for the trauma they experienced. And I think one of the most powerful aspects of their statements, it was to put a face on male sexual assault and to show the fact that men suffer from military sexual trauma as well as women. And in that military courtroom, the judge accepted Major Stockton's guilty plea and issued his punishment. And that in itself was not an easy task because the judge stated he deliberated more than 12 hours before reaching a decision. And that decision was to sentence Stockton to the maximum amount of time allowed under the plea agreement. 13 years and 4 months of confinement, forfeiture of all pay and benefits, and a dishonorable discharge. And as a result of his conviction, Stockton will lose his medical license and he will be required to register as a sex offender. Also, as a felon, he will be barred in many states from voting or possessing a handgun. And as far as the victims' reaction to the sentence, many have said they're still trying to come to terms with what they experienced. Now, I saw this short video clip by a local news channel, and I think it says it all. I am going to place the link to this video in my description box. It's only just about 2 minutes long, but I think it's worth sharing. It's an excellent summary that is worth sharing with my audience. And the last update was that Major Stocking was transferred to Fort Leavenworth, Kansas, the U.S. disciplinary barracks here. That's the military prison where he will spend out his confinement time, 13 years and 4 months, and it probably will be about 6 months or so shorter than that because of the time that he spent in pretrial confinement. Now, it was mentioned that this case represented the worst case of sexual assault in our military's history. Makes you wonder what could cause someone, an up and coming physician, to throw away his entire life in this manner. Now, if I had a chance to speak with him, that would probably be one of the questions I asked. Then I'd probably shake him and say, just what the heck were you thinking? But some answers we will never get. But it's safe to say that an ugly chapter in our military history has ended, but scholars will be discussing this case for decades to come. And that's all I have for you right now. Feel free to leave me a comment below and let me know what you think about this video. And by all means, feel free to like it and to share it. And if you haven't done so already, I want to invite you to subscribe to my channel by clicking on that red subscribe button. It's on the bottom right-hand corner of your screen. And if you click on the bell that looks just like this one, that's the notification bell. If you click on that notification bell, you'll be the first to know whenever a new video is uploaded. I thank you for watching, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye.